It's Monday, 9th of June 2025. My name is Daniel Clancy. I'm the project artist working on the project with the working title of Lough Gur, an oral history. This evening, it's a blustery evening here in Knockderk, a hill near Lough Gur, and we're a few hundred meters, I'd say, from Patrick's well, the well of Patrick as well. And this evening, I'm standing in the home and the shed out the back of a local man, one of the people working on the project, John Carew. John has been an interviewer so far on the project, chatting to local people and finding little bits of knowledge and stories. And John is going to take us on a little short tour this evening of the area where he's going to bring us up Knockderk and tell us a little bit about the area. And we're going to hear a little bit about John himself as well. So, John, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a small bit about yourself and your connection with the area?
Okay, Daniel. As Daniel says there, my name is John Carew. I was born on the 19th of November 1959, so I'm only a young fella. I was born in Croom Hospital. There must have been a maternity unit there at the time, which is long gone now, I would say. So I'm the oldest of three boys in the family, and I had six sisters. So yeah, we got a rough time growing up with the girls. So I've always lived close to Lough Gur. I was reared below in Roisin, and I always like to say that during the day we were told of the myths and the legends of Lough Gur, and at night we could hear the haunting sounds coming from the lake. So I feel that Lough Gur is in my blood, and I haven't moved far from where I was born and reared. I've just moved up here to Knockderk. The hill is right at the back of my house, and Daniel and myself are going to go for a little trip up there, and I'll be able to point out the views and hopefully give a little bit of information about the area to Daniel as we travel along. So, do you want to move on now, Daniel?
We will in a moment, John. But just before we go, we've stepped in out of the shed because it's a bit of a breezy evening at the moment. So we're just taking in the calm before we head out into the wind. But you were just mentioning to me that on the other side of your home there, you have some kind of stone laid out, and you mentioned that this stone has a kind of connection with the area.
Yeah, well, the hill itself was a volcanic baraka, so a volcanic in its day back millions of years probably. So it's a very, very hard stone. And when I built the house here, maybe about 19 or 20 years ago, I used the stone to build stone walls around the house. And another local man built a house, and he put some of the stone off of his site into my field. I used some of that as well. But I was trying to explain to you there, Daniel, it's not a stone that you can work. So I had to pick the stone. So it was a project that took me about 3 years, doing a bit every evening when I came home. But yeah, many people have asked me to know would I build similar walls from, but I didn't take on any project like that. I did do a wall for my sister there a couple of years ago, a dry stone wall. Again, I was never taught to do any of them or anything, but I just like stone, and I could do stone carvings and things. Not that I do it anymore because unfortunately I have arthritis in my fingers and that, but yeah, I still love doing it.
Absolutely, and if we can't see it quite from here at the moment, but if I peek my head around the corner of the house there, you'd see this lovely kind of light red kind of stone, and you've laid it out into a wall there, and you've at the moment some kind of compost or some soil planted on top with flowers as well. So you've got lovely colours there at the moment this time of year.
Yeah, and actually when you get rain, you'd have about 5 or 6 different colours in the stone. Black comes through in it. Of course, that was from the heat of the volcano and all that. And of course, herself loves the flowers, and we put them in there every spring. And they're nice. People like them, even when they're passing up and down the road, they can see them.
Absolutely. Well, I think the breeze has calmed down a small bit, so we're going to pop outside. We might, along the way, hear a story or maybe a poem or something along the way, because I know John is a writer and a storyteller, and he has many creative outputs as well. So we might hear something along the way as well, will we, John?
So we just might.
Lovely. Sure, we'll hit the road. We'll head out, so.
I'll close the door here behind us as we go. So we've stepped out now, and I put beach hedging along by the side of the road. as I like trees and all that, and I have some more hedging here. All this work has to be done now. Got cut them back and get them ready for that they don't take over the whole place. But yeah, well, we're getting tipping away handy now.
Lovely. So we might get our energy and hold our breath for a few minutes as we embark on the hill. Lovely. Great stuff. I'll just record our footprints there for a sec or two. I don't, do you need to go into the house or anything?
No.
Or which way do we go then?
So we're going to go this way, and look, it's quite a steep.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like the challenge.
But that's the worst of it there now. And the horses are gone off the hill, so the place is getting a bit overgrown. But they only come back there in the springtime. So during COVID, this was the project. During the COVID, this is the project I took on. There was a very ugly stone here. It wasn't actually a stone when I went at it. It was actually a lump of concrete with stone mixed in it that had been pushed down here by a machine at some stage. And my wife Kate had asked me to know would I maybe do something with it and turn it into a flower bed, and I intended to build a little wall around it. But when I went cleaning off and all the briars and the nettles and everything, I found these two gigantic stones that were probably left here since the volcanic times. When I cleaned off, I said, it'd be a pity now, leave these go. And I built steps up and a platform up above and a seating area, which is lovely. And actually from there I can see right down into Champalnua. When I had that done then, of course, the wall between my lawn and the field, that was a low stone wall covered in ivy, and I pulled all the ivy off it, which was the hardest job, and I tipped away at it. Some of the bigger stones that you can see, Daniel, in the wall, I wasn't even able to move them, so I just built around them and left flower beds above and top of them, and that's where we have our flowers set now.
I think we'll scale those steps off.
Yeah. Just be careful now because nothing is. Everything here is natural. I'll go first because I kind of know the path.
I'll follow your lead.
I like the wildness of this place.
There's lots of ferns as we're going uphill.
We can talk about them when we get up to where you see the trees, because you'll see when they get, and they can grow up to 5 or 6 feet tall, and when they get to this, they're very wiry and hard to cut, and they'd smother the young trees, which we'll see once we get up to the top of Knockderk. So I keep them cut back straight away once they start coming, because they're very easy tip off then, and as well as that I'm able to see the young trees. So as you can see, the easiest way to come up this very steep part of the hill is to come up the paths that the cattle and horses have made. And of course, in years gone by, the roads and all those followed those paths as well. And that's where boher, the word boher, the Irish word for road, comes from. And it's horses and cattle will find the easiest way. So that's why our roads are so crooked, except for the motorways, of course. I took a bit. Well, we could go that way, but we'll go on this way.
It's quite steep now, so I kind of have to wind over and back just to gentle out that gradient, I suppose.
Oh, that's the worst of the steep's over. Everything else is a way more gentle, and as you can see, we're not up at the top of the hill at all, and the height and the view that we have. Looking down across the landscape, you can see right down and right down and into Lough Gur. I'm just getting my bearings here now. Yes, right into Lough Gur here, and we'll get a better view of it later on when we get up a bit higher. You can see all the way back to Bruff, and on a clear day you can nearly see all the way down to Kerry. We get back up further again, we'll be able to see all the way over to Tipperary and Clare. So you have some view from here, because this is in, we're here now in the parish of Knockderk. Lough Gur is in the parish of Knockderk. But just across here, you can see a car going down the road. You're in the parish of Bruff there. And actually Bruff is even at different diocese. We're in the diocese of Cashel and Imlay here. And this Bruff is in the diocese of Limerick. So we're really here on the boundary of the parish and the diocese.
So you can come up here to the hill and keep an eye on what they're up to in Bruff.
Oh, you can see all around, so you can.
Very good.
Your solar panels. Did they put them up and going for you?
Say that again.
Did they put the solar panels going for you?
Oh, we got them up, yeah, put
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Ah.
It was a little bit of teething kind of problems, but yeah, we're getting we got the eddy thing as well, you know, for the water.
Oh yeah, I had that as well. The main thing that we wanted was to keep water.
Yeah.
Now, you have a better view from this angle. You can see Champelnua. Can you see the gables of Champelnua?
Oh, we can see the old walls of the church.
And you can see actually the water of the lake. So you're right down into Lough Gur. That's Knockderk, then this looking at you straight behind Champelnua.
Yeah, as you say, you have a great view. I know we're not even at the top now, but you can see right even to our right now. We can see some hills covered by clouds slightly, and nearly all around it. Say you.
Yeah, we'll see the Galties now shortly. They're the Clare Hills, and just when you can see Patrick's Well Church here and the schoolhouse, and the Honeyfitz Theatre right down here as well. So you have a good view of the whole area. Daniel, and we'll be in the shade, I think.
Yeah, the wind is just kind of coming directly up, isn't it?
I think we'll just go around it here, that I won't get burnt and things.
Oh, well.
We just grab ahead here, but hauling all these poles up and the wire and all that. I brought them all up that hill up in my bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's a fair few of them as well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We might talk about why I did it. You know. My mother is living there, and then my brother is further in the passage, and then our first cousins are living in at the end of the passage. But that passage would take you all the way. At one time there was 4 or 5 more families in there, and it continued on to the road that went through the bog, Rusheen bog, and it came out around and crossed over, and you may not be able to make it out, but I know where it is. But Ballinalough is right over here in this little hill, and that was the graveyard of the nuns, and there was a little monastery there. So that little road went down by where my mother is living, where my brother is now, where we were reared, and down to the Hayeses, my first cousins, and there was cows in there and punches as well at one time. I never remember them being there. And that road then continued on through the bog and out over to there. So like the roads then were, way different to what we have today, and where they went. Take a road across a bog, you can imagine the work that was in that. You actually spoke about on your way down here, you saw several quarries. And of course, because back in the time there was no machinery, horse and cart and things, people for building stone and all that used stone that was as near as possible to them. And just here in front of us, there was a quarry there at one time. So they quarried stone out of that, probably to build their houses or build walls to keep cattle in and what have you. And of course, places where there was limestone, it was very valuable to them because, as you know, even around Lough Gur, there's 2 or 3 lime kilns, and they were used the local stone as near as possible, of course, and bring it to the kilns and to burn the stone and make lime out of it.
And one thing that I think might distinguish this area, say if you were to describe this to someone who's not kind of familiar with the Lough Gur and the surrounding areas, is, say with a lot of Limerick, it might have, in the centre of the county, you'd be traditionally associated with maybe the plains and that very flat land. Whereas this area, it has relatively a lot of small hills around, which, say compared to other parts of the county is maybe interesting, like you're mentioning the quarries, you're mentioning, say, even the hills around Lough Gur itself. Is that, that gives it its own character. Even I can see like that lends itself to little lines of trees, say, coming up certain side of hills. Yeah, it's kind of got its own distinctive look within Limerick as well, I think.
Well, I think even if you're looking down on Lough Gur from a height, if you could get right up above it, it would be like a bowl. It's surrounded by, the lake is surrounded by Knockfinel and Knockderk and a few more small little hills. So it's like a bowl, really. So you're right, yeah, there's not massive, huge area of flatland.
Which is interesting again, and of course Limerick doesn't have that many lakes as well. There wouldn't be that. There'd be a handful maybe, but like that again, that's something that maybe distinguishes the area in the Limerick context, I suppose. But well, we keep going a bit higher and get an even better view.
So it's not really a style or anything, but it just helps to get in easy. Just mind the legs anyway, don't get them caught in the thorny wire. So we're just up here, Daniel, and last year I set out to set some native trees. I started off with a very small little project, and I suppose like everything it grew a bit. So I might have maybe 2.5 acres of trees set here. Oak, Scots pine, birch, what else have I? Elder, and I have ash, and I have hazel, and a few more, but I had more time this spring and things because I've just retired, so I cleared a large area then, and you can see here that I have my trees coming. And the biggest problem with them for a few years is to keep the ferns down that it won't smother them. And anywhere then that there's where there's grass, I don't actually cut the grass. A forester advised me not to cut the grass, to trample it. It's a better job. It won't grow back as quick. But when we get up further, Daniel, you'll see some of the ones that I set last year. And I'd say this will be the last year that I'll need to look after them because they've really shot up. And any of the ash, of course, we're all know about the ash dieback, which is a terrible thing. But any of the ash that I have planted, and you can see some of them up here farther from us. I dug them up here around my own area, so they're all local, and hopefully that the ash dieback don't get at them.
Hopefully.
And some of the white thorn then that I've just up along here by again, I did the same thing. I just dug them up locally. But when I set out to do this project, I said, I'm going to see this is for the environment and for generations to come. And I set out that I wouldn't actually spend any money buying the trees. And lo and behold, I didn't. And I might have 500 or 600 trees sat here. But people gave me trees, and Free Trees Ireland, I got some trees off of them. And then once people knew that I was planting trees, they kind of gave me trees, and it's grown into this now. So please God, they will be here for generations to come. And I didn't do like the forestries where they set the trees, plant the trees very close together, because of course the forestries want straight timber for harvesting and things. I have kept 3.5 meters maybe between the trees. I just wanted, and once I get them up high enough, I just wanted to grow naturally and let whatever happens. Then after that, I won't, And I don't use any chemicals to keep the grass or the weeds down. I don't want to do that either. So,
and to give someone listening a picture of what we're looking at the moment. So if we remember, we're on Knockderk and we've come most of the way up the hill now, not quite to the top, but in contrast to say maybe that farmland that lies below, if we turn around and behind us, we can see there's young cattle behind us. We can see some farm buildings. We can see the odd flash of maybe farm machinery that's working today, a little bit flatter, and then we can see some of the roads and the homes, so it's that rural scene. But then as we get up the hill, you have the contrast of maybe some of that gorse or furze bush. I don't know.
Four bushes here, and this then is the ferns. And you can see how high they've grown, Daniel. So if I didn't keep these down here, you see I cut them when they're that size. So it's a couple of times a week. I come up every morning for a few hours, and you can see if I didn't cut them, they'd grow up that height and they'd smother the trees.
Yeah, so those ferns are bracken, I think some people call them as well. They're maybe up to about 4 or 5 feet nearly. And then the area that you've worked on here is, as you say, you've cut back those ferns, and we're seeing small young oaks as well as the other bits you've planted as a foxglove.
They're foxgloves, they come naturally here, yeah, they're lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, so we've got the colour of the foxglove and a little bit of stuff that's been cut back. It's going to die back. So you've got the mix of greens and from the young oaks, and then you got a little bit of almost like mulch that's from the stuff that's been cut back. So yeah, it's kind of, you can see it taking shape, and yeah, it's fenced often as well. So you could imagine in a few years what this area might look like if some of these trees mature and get a bit taller. Yeah,
I probably will never sit under them when they're fully mature. It's not probably, I just won't, but hopefully for generations to come they'll be here. And of course we're all know now about climate change and the environment and everything, so this was my little project to save the world.
And what did you say to people when you mentioned that you were planting trees, and you said people were going to, a lot of people offered you free trees, or they wanted to help you? What did you say you were doing to people?
To be honest, no, Daniel, I don't know. I would just come down in conversation. Maybe I was out in the burn telling stories one day, and I suppose it came up then in the conversation and the environment. And one of the ladies that was at this was there. It was a ladies group out there, and she approached me and she said, "Would you come back to the house? I have something for you." I said, "That's the best offer I've got in a long time." So I'm back anyway, and she gave me 150 oak saplings. And I still have some of them because I want to put them in if I have failures or anything. But actually, if I'm doing storytelling now for children, young children, I was in Carew, was it last Saturday week, and I took back some oak trees, and it's a great way to get young children chatting with you and interested in things. And I'd give them the oak tree if someone wanted to take it away and plant it. But of course I'd warn them not to plant it near a house because they're only babies at the moment, but they grow up. So
But they say from little acorns grow mighty oaks, so
Yeah.
you want to be careful where you plant
Where
them.
you plant them.
So
Well,
we'll
we might move on farther and up the hill, and you'll see some of the trees even that I set last year, how big they have grown. And then we might go down across the hill, and there's a few interesting sights that you might like to see, Daniel.
lead the way, so.
I like to walk on them even. Build a little cycle.
Is that all them? The little kind of bulby.
Yeah, that's them.
That's the ferns.
Yeah, I actually, off the internet, I should have showed it to you down there. I got a little kind of a kind of a bill hook type of thing, but very small, very light, and I've just a handle of a brush in it, and you can go along and just tip them.
Yeah.
And even if you see the likes of them that are just popping their head up like that, if you give them a tip at the back of it, they'll go. Oh, my tree has shock, isn't it? But it might come.
It's hanging in there, it's just about.
I was very worried about, I was concerned about the Scots pine earlier in the year, so dry. But since we've got the rain, they have recovered. But then again, I was talking to a forester lately, and he told me, especially with Scots pine, they actually throw off the leaves to protect the sprout that's up at the top. In dry weather, they'll throw off the little leaves, spiny leaves. So that was interesting. And most of them have, shot up. They're over here a bit, and I have some more up at the top, and they've come. I'm delighted that they didn't die. I have some ash trees growing here.
What's that now?
These are all ash, this square here, and they were of course, as I said to you earlier, they're the ones that I dug up from around here myself and planted, and I'm hoping that the ash dieback won't come up the hill. So. I'd like to step out over there.
Over the fence.
So you can see some of the ones I planted now last year are much higher. So I'd say after this year those, I won't need to do anything with them anymore. Just leave them to God, as the fellow said. And up here in this area again, some of them are quite high, and then the little Scots pine are up there. So Scots pine is a really lovely little tree. So I hope they'll survive.
Where are we heading to then? Are we gonna?
So, I think the best thing we could do now is go away from, because I think we've enough spoken about these.
Yeah.
So we might just walk on for a bit.
Yeah.
But we'll have to go back out here and get back out under this wire.
Sure.
This area blocked off last year. There's an electric fence, and it's actually solar.
Oh, I see the panel. Yeah.
So can we get out here? Just be careful. Will I hold my leg down there? Just mind the legs.
There's a good gap. I've squeezed you tighter.
I was very lucky. I had a tree here, a tree there, and a tree to strain it off of, to pull the wire off of, to make it tight, because you'd have some job of putting down a post here to. And actually, when I drove these, they were so the ground was so dry I couldn't drive them very far. But they after solid and up in the ground, and I put these on the top then, because they got well, not too bad, but they actually got damaged. So I just cut milk cartons, plastic 2-litre milk cartons, and if you put them down the top of the post, it'll stop the rain from going in and rotting them.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you can see how big the ferns get, don't they?
Yeah. I wonder, is there anything that we eat them? Like, I know there's no deer here, but would deer eat them?
I probably would. I don't know. You can see they'd smother any small trees, wouldn't they?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Are you okay to go on, Daniel?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is it okay?
I think so, yeah. We just probably will be stopping at another point somewhere. I'm just wondering how far we're going, or you said there was something on the other side, or
Just up here.
oh yeah, that's good.
A stone circle, and then we can go over across to the.
Perfect. The only thing I'm wondering is just if I might pause the recording there for a minute, so just
Yeah, we'll walk on for a bit.
save the battery. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might give me a shout when we're getting close to something, then, and I'll start.
See here where they went to the trouble of building stone walls up here. You would think, why would they separate the land up here? It's so poor and things, but yeah. Brian Colopy tells me that these ferns grow in land that was cultivated or tilled. So probably potatoes were grown up here before the Great Famine. So you can imagine people living up here, but we have a very interesting site here. There's actually a stone circle here, probably back from the Neolithic people or the Bronze Age people. So we'll just walk up to it now, Brian, if you don't mind, and you can imagine why they built up here. And it's fair windy and everything, but I suppose protection and the view of the whole countryside around. So if we just try to get out over this ditch here now.
Just hopping over more of that kind of red stone into another field. And as we're walking on, there's more and more hills in the kind of surrounding area revealing themselves.
So this is more of a mound. It's not like the great Grange stone circle. You can see some circles, but this would have been a habitable site. So probably mounds here with timber fencing around it to keep any wild animals and protection. So they were really up at the top of the hill. And if we just go over a small bit, we'll be able to see right across down to the Galties and Tipperary, and so they could see Clare all the way back to West Limerick and Kerry, and then up into Charleville and Cork. So whatever side you came from here, you could be seeing, and they could prepare. That's what I presume anyway. They prepared to protect themselves. So you can see the Galties here. Just here in the background, the Galties.
Yeah, it's a very there's something very perfect about it where we are. It's kind of even the hilltop itself is very kind of round, and you've got a almost 360 view of the surrounding area. You can see the lake, as you mentioned as well. Now we're up a bit higher, so you can see the water itself in the lake across the way. And to describe the area, John, like for nowadays, I suppose in one way it's like it is a very rural area, but in other ways you can kind of see the handprints of human settlements in many different ways around here. You've mentioned this site that we're at now, but then you have even just the fields, how they're divided. You have hedgerows and trees, and you mentioned roads earlier as well. You kind of can see many different generations and centuries of human existence here, I suppose, as well.
Well, man has lived for at least 6,000 years here in Lough Gur, back to the Neolithic Stone Age time, on Bronze and Iron Age and all the way. But there has been continuous habitation here in Lough Gur all down through them centuries. So as you say, Daniel, there's a lot of evidence on the landscape of human settlement. As you say, we can see again down into Champel Noah, and that would have been a church of ease for the Desmond Earls. Spare them coming up here to the local church in Lough Gur. And of course, anyone that look at it, or if you have a tour coming, they'll say, "Why is this called Champel Noah?" But because of course it's derelict, no roof in it, but of course it was called Champel Noah because it replaced an older church on Killalloch. So that's why it was called Champel Noah. But everything from, we pointed it out before, you had a monastery here, and then of course before the famine times there was mud houses. They've disappeared off the landscape, and just up the road we go up to the Colonel O'Grady, so the plantations and all that, and the implications that had for Irish society and the change in Irish society. So that's all there, the great houses back even as far as Cahergillamore and the Rathbarton House, all those marked, and we won't say scar our countryside, because men is evolving all the time, and now you can see a lot of very modern bungalows and two-story houses in the area, along with older farmhouses and cottages. So men is evolving all the time, and Lough Gur welcomes everyone here to come to see it.
And does this particular site have a name that we're at the moment?
Not that I know of. Yeah, and I don't think it has ever been excavated.
That's interesting. And as we're standing here on top of the hill, the breeze is picking up, but there's also to the west there, the sun is trying to break through the kind of hazy clouds and come down, I think. And you mentioned, John, how this is an area you've lived most of, if not all of your life.
My life, yeah.
All your life, and you're pointing out your familiarity with it as you look around. And is that part of we mentioned earlier as well that you're into writing and you have that creative streak in you? Does the area and the landscape play a role in your writing?
It's very inspiring. If you like, I could recite a short poem for you and the inspiration, you were talking about inspiration. So one morning, the inspiration for this short poem came to me one morning when I was standing below the shores of Lough Gur, and when the first rays of sunlight shone out from behind Drumlee and danced on the enchanted waters of Lough Gur, this was the poem, the inspiration that came to me. It's very short, so if you don't mind. Stand on the shores of eternity, stand in silence and listen to the rhythmic rhyming chimes of time. Close your eyes and see the mossed and whitened stones of infinity. Speak with lips of tranquility as you stand on the shores of eternity. Thank you.
Lovely, yeah, really lovely. You can imagine, even on a cloudy, blustery day today now, you still have lovely light, you have all this scenery. I'd say you could probably nearly turn around in a circle and point at some area and see something that would catch your eye. And to imagine the scene that you described there of that light hitting the water, I'd say there's an endless well of beauty and inspiration in an area like this.
Well, Lough Gur has, down through the years, has had a lot of artists, especially, and creative people, and we still have our very creative people around. Bobby Ryan is well known internationally as an artist, and you have Paul Kwan and Cathy Tiernan and many more. But down through the centuries, there was always artists in Lough Gur. And actually last year, I brought a group of creative people, 16 creative people together, and we were paired off in twos, and you couldn't be paired off with someone of the same discipline of you. I had 4 artists, 4 writers, 4 craftspeople, and 4 photographers. So you had to give a piece of work to the person you were paired off with, and they had to create a new piece of work inspired by your work, and the other person then that you were inspired that you were the other person that you were paired off with, they had to give you a piece of their work, and again you had to. And we had a beautiful exhibition, and it exhibited in Friars Gate, Mitchelstown Library, Dooradile Library, and we finished in Lough Gur in the interpretive centre. But actually, I've been contacted just there a few weeks ago by the Limerick art officer, and her name just won't come to me now, and she wants this project to continue. So hopefully we will have another exhibition early next year. But that's a project that I have to get going at now.
Lovely, yeah, it's fantastic. And will we? Is there another spot we're going to go to here, or what do you reckon?
Have you enough?
No. I'm just wondering. Because I still want to ask you about this project that we're doing at the moment. Just your motivations for recording local people. Or would it make sense to walk on a bit first?
Well, do you want to just see into the quarry?
Yeah.
It's only 3 or 4 minutes walk.
That would be lovely. I think that even that idea of you're almost quarrying the area for stories as well, it might be very apt. Yeah. So we'll move on again. So.
When I come to these places, I like to just let my mind wander back to, especially the Neolithic and the Bronze Age people that would have come here to this part of the world, and what their motivation was, how they survived, and we think of them as a very primitive people, but when you see some of the great monuments that they left, even here around Lough Gur, these were a very, very intelligent people, and I would just, if I had one wish, I would just love to be able to go back to meet those people for one day. I think it would be such an experience, and I suppose we have lost a lot of the intelligence that they had, and mankind though has an intelligence. You can see what he can do, put a man on the moon, but unfortunately we don't always use it to the good either. We can see what's happening in the world at the moment, and it happened down through the centuries with man. So I always feel that there's a lot of badness in mankind as well. But hopefully, if the right people come into power in the right places, that there might be peace amongst people, and that would be something that I would be very, very I don't know what the word is, but very hopeful for and conscious that the badness in the world would disappear.
And even you mentioned people kind of living here and surviving here for thousands of years. I guess there had to have been a lot of cooperation, people working together, whether it was like the hunter-gatherer almost in tribes, or something more recent, like to have the community that you have today. There must have been various iterations of people working together, farming together, that there must be a long history of that here as well.
Of course, like if we go back down to Lough Gur itself, and even to the Great Grindstone Circle, probably at that time, Daniel, when the stone circle was built, population maybe 250, 300 people. And you see the size of the stones and everything that are down there. So this wasn't just something that they decided to do today and we'll do that. This was cooperation between people. And I also think that, with that amount of people and the amount of work that would have had to go in to build that site, that it wouldn't have been done in one generation. It would be in 2, 3, 4 generations, because of course the lifespan of people back then was maybe 35, 38 years of age. So they didn't have any writing, so they had a way of passing on this information and knowledge. So and right up to today, community spirit here in Lough Gur is absolutely wonderful. And if someone has a tragedy in their family, or needs something done, there's people. The community will come around you, and I think that's a very Irish thing anyway. As we often see there now on our television, tragedies, and people will come together and help out and be there for their neighbours, and I think that's lovely thing, and hopefully it will continue for many years to come.
And even you, when you're planting your trees, even just mentioning that's what you're doing, and people, maybe in the local area and further afield, just wanted to help. That seems to be living on that kind of spirit as well, which is lovely. Right, will we move on as the aeroplane passes overhead? We'll move on to another spot up here.
Lovely. I often sat in that stone there and wonder who sat in it before me. Do you know what I mean?
This invites it, doesn't it?
Huh?
It invites us.
There's a spot there. I think someone always sat there and looked down across the valley, across the plains of Roisin and Patrick's Well, and on back into Grange and Holy Cross and on up to Bruff, and wondered what they were thinking. And it's a great place to sit and just forget about your worries if you have any, and just think about nothing really, or think about whatever you wish.
And while you're there, do you mind if I take a photo of you at that spot?
Okay.
On your throne. The ideal height and everything.
Yeah.
It was made for you. God, it was gorgeous. Yeah, I'm very envious that you have somewhere like this to just walk up. It's literally in your back garden. It's lovely. It's lovely.
I'm not very dressed up for this now.
Just for the environment. Lovely stuff.
You want to get a photograph of yourself up here?
I don't mind.
Yeah, with your mic.
Yeah, sure. No, my phone is a disaster. The screen is gone and it's very hard to see, but you can give it a go anyway if you want.
Yeah, I see it there now.
Yeah,
Is it this one here, is it?
the big white one? Yeah. Now, it's a bit funny, the phone, so if it goes haywire, it is not your fault. Lovely.
I think it took them. Huh?
Brilliant.
I
Thank
think
you.
it did anyway.
Yeah. It is.
You'll see it flashing.
Yeah. Very much.
Are you happy enough with the way the project is going?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, we've got a lovely start there with a couple of interviews the last day.
Yeah.
A couple of bits coming in the next few days. So.
Well, you know, when I have to do a lot of things, or whatever I'm asked to do, or if I'm doing something, I have to do it. I can't let things pile up on me,
Right.
and I have dyslexia, so that's I just can't let things pile up. I have to do them.
Yeah.
Because we'll say, just for example, I did the tour guiding course there a few years ago, and people were letting all the projects to the very last and they do it.
Right.
I couldn't do that now, because if I did,
Yeah.
it would be just, I couldn't get it up.
Yeah.
But it's not stopping me doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
I've been published now in 6 or 7 countries around the world. I have my own collection of poetry and short stories, and my play last year won Theatre in the Tent in the festival in hospital, and yeah.
What age were you when you learned you were dyslexic, or did you always
Well,
kind of know you
I
there was
didn't
some?
know.
Yeah.
But just you and me. We're not recording this.
Oh, okay.
My daughter Lisa, I don't think you've met Lisa, but very intelligent, and she's doing biomedical engineering. But she was diagnosed as having dyslexia, and I'm the very same.
Yeah.
When I'm writing, on the computer, it's all red maps.
Yeah.
So my spelling, I'm not that bad, but my spelling and where to put punctuations and things like that. But I remember I was chatting with a girl, I was part of a group one time, a writing group, and she was published author. We're chatting like that. Like, do something that writing with their right hand. So I said, you know how to finish it slowly. Oh, isn't that a nice thing for us to say? Because plus, you're way younger than me, Jim, in your age, but we were never given any self-confidence.
Right.
And I suppose until I started writing and things, that's what gave me self-confidence.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I can numb stuff off. So I can stand up, I cannot do it with a piece of paper, really, right? I'm so nervous.
Right.
But even if I'm going even entertaining children, I'm always nervous before I go entertaining.
Okay.
If I'm in a play or whatever.
Mm.
But whatever it is, once I get out there on the stage, it goes. And they say that's a good thing. You can see the horn of the hill. And you might see a few more of these.
What's that there now, John? To our right, is a kind of concrete kind of structure.
You can see here there are 6-inch blocks on the flat, and there's a couple of more around, and you'll see roofs on them. This one, the roof is gone off it, but when the quarry was in use and they were dynamiting the rock, the workers, I suppose, did a bell go off or whatever, a siren, and they'd go into these so as they wouldn't get a belt of a rock when it would explode. So there was a concrete, and I think you might see one down here with the concrete roof still intact. So that's what no one lived there now, just in case you were thinking that it was a dwelling house.
There's a little shelter from the quarry work.
Yeah. But you have a total different view here now. You're looking down into the green bog, so full of sally trees and what have you, and quite dangerous to go into. It's a quagmire really. You could sink in there and might never be seen again. So they I would think just grew there naturally. They were never planted or anything. So quite a different landscape at this side of the hill, and you can see more gradual hills and up to the hill in Knockderk and all that, and then right across into County Tipperary.
Yeah, very much so. Like, again, an area with a lot of, small hills, but very slightly different kind of terrain. You mentioned there the trees and the sally trees, and even the farmland on this side of the hill is quite different. There's more gentle sloping fields. They're bigger now and in this day and age here on this side, but yeah, you'd nearly think you're in a different place, almost looking from one side to the other.
Yeah, much more trees at this side, Daniel. As you can see, there's a little forestry down here and farther over again, which you have none at the other side going down towards Lough Gur.
What we might do when we get to is there a particular spot you can kind of look down on the quarry?
Yeah. Once we go up there, you'll see the whole thing.
We might chat about the project.
Yeah.
And what you've open to like recording, the local stories and stuff. Just a little bit about that. Brian, you were kind of mentioning that idea of just chatting to ye as well, like interviewing just so people know.
Yeah, that's lost, didn't it?
Yeah, it's often the case with someone, the person with the camera or the person recording the thing is the person who's often left out, whereas you're you're local people as well, so it'd be important to have your voice as well there.
And I think it's good that local people are doing the interviewing.
Brilliant, yeah.
Because like when I was talking to Bernie and all them, I kind of knew about him, a bit about him, and it's a great thing, I think, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's adds so much to it, absolutely, yeah.
Are you in a hurry home?
No panic. No.
We're very lucky with the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting out here now. Very hard to record anything. You'll have to move down there a bit, I'd say. So, I think here you can see right in. Right.
Oh my God, this is a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, it's lovely here actually.
A little bit of shelter here, yeah.
Yeah.
So where have we come to now, John?
So we've come to the quarry in Knockderk, and I believe that George Finch, another one of the interviewers, have a few men that he's going to interview that worked here. I just remember as a young boy coming up with my father up here when he was building some roadways on his farm, and there was bins, I think they call them bins, down at the front of the quarry, and he would drive in under there with his tractor and trailer, and they'd leave the stone, the crushed stone down into it. But it's gone out of, it's closed many, many years ago, and I don't really know why. Some of those men might tell you, tell George when he's interviewing them. We always heard that the stone is so hard here that the crushers kept on breaking down. Again, it's this volcanic rock, and it is a really hard rock. But they took quite an amount of stone out of here, as you can see, Daniel. And it's gone nice and wild now, and it's rewilding, and there's kesters and other birds nesting here. So it's quite nice, quite wild.
Oh,
there goes your hat. Let the people know how wild it is here.
That's it. Thanks. We're stood right at the I suppose one of the cliffs of the. I don't know what. I'll turn my back to the wind because the microphone will be shielded then. But we're stood right at the kind of cliff face of the quarry. I'm terrible at distances now, but it is a good maybe 50-60 meters down, if not more. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, and it's quite deep, and it's quite a significant amount of rock, as you say, taken out, and it's the rock itself then is kind of quite, what's left is quite straight edged and kind of flat faced, if you suppose. So it kind of gives it again that distinctive look, like, and then there's some kind of stuff that's fallen down over the years. I'd say the kind of remnants at the bottom of the quarry, and it's a. You'd wonder, it would be a probably interesting spot to be down on the bottom of and hear what it's like down there. You can hear some bird activity up here as well. But yeah, it'd be interesting to imagine what it would be like, when you mentioned those people working here, pulling stuff out. There would have been a lot of activity here probably in and around the quarry on any given day. And the project that we're doing, John, will we maybe shelter somewhere a tiny bit?
If we go to the other side of the fir bushes.
Yeah. We're staring right into the wind up here. There we go now. A bit more shelter here. We can hear ourselves again. So literally a few yards away on the other side of the bushes, we're a bit more sheltered here now. And the project we're doing at the moment, John, you being one of the local community interviewers who's arranging and chatting with local people and recording stories, I suppose it's part of a wider project that has the working title of Lough Gur and Oral History. But there's been some interviews recorded already. But if we talk about like why it might be important to record the local voices of people here in the area and some of those stories and bits of knowledge, like for you, what's the value, or why is that important to do?
Well, when you contacted me earlier in the year, I suppose, Daniel, I think straight away I was enthusiastic about this project because history goes back, but we are making history even today. And in 100 years' time, I think this project will be very, very interesting for people to listen to the recordings, see how people lived and what way they thought about things now, today, and what they know about their past and what their fathers and their mothers and their local people handed down to them, and the stories that they were told. And of course, with it being Lough Gur and the amount of folklore and history that's here, it's very important that that's not forgotten. And every generation, you will lose a lot of that if it's not recorded. And I'm sure there is a lot of it lost as it is, but hopefully this project will keep some of that alive and keep some of the stories they hadn't recorded maybe caught and wrote down and recorded, and then it'll be there for all the generations to come.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose we're living in an era of very rapid change as well. Like, if even from what you can see from the naked eye here, you can see different generations of houses, but then you see those tractors passing on the road, the big, maybe intensive machinery and different methods of farming, or even the school in the distance there. If you think of all the change that we've probably even seen in the last few years with the maybe computers and in digitalization of a lot of aspects of our lives. I suppose we are also living through that rapid change, and you have this generation of people who are going through that now, but also you have the people who've lived through the previous generations of change. So there's no shortage of things you can capture and talk about, I suppose, and stories to record here as well.
Well, I always like, if I was doing a tour in Lough Gur, and when we go to Champalnua, you can look across the lake onto Knockderk. And when Professor Seanchaí O'Riordan came in 1939, I think he gave around 15 years around Lough Gur, excavating and examining sites. But house site A on Knockderk, which is almost obliterated now off the side of the hill. But when he went to excavate there, he thought he was excavating a Bronze Age house site. But lo and behold, as he went down along, he discovered that there had been habitation at the site for many hundreds of years. But as I said, lo and behold, when he got down to the very bottom, he discovered that it had been a Neolithic site. And of course, that made Lough Gur, that's what really made Lough Gur world famous, put it on the map first of all, because these Neolithic sites, as you can imagine, are extremely rare to find them, because over the centuries with cattle and machinery, these sites are impossible to find. But that site has been carbon dated now to 4000 BC, over 6,000 years ago. And when we come back down to the lakefront down near the Heritage Centre, and if you go up towards the 100 steps up to, you will see what we call the Spectacles. And there are two houses, and those houses were early Christian, 400 AD, around that time. And I always like to say to people, you look at these sites, there's 4,000 years maybe in the difference between house site A and Knockderk and the Spectacles. But you could see by the houses, there's no great improvement in the houses. If anything, maybe they even went backwards. And I always like to say that where today, if you get a mobile phone, it's obsolete in 6 months. So time moved very slowly back then, where today it's moving so fast, and it's very difficult, I find, for our younger people, that all this stuff is being beamed at them. And of course, my generation, a lot of us, we find the computer and that we can manage it away, but we're probably afraid of it, where the younger people aren't, because we weren't reared up with it. But I like the idea of it too, because you can do your writing on it, and it brings so much more to our lives.
And on the idea of capturing stories and ideas and messages and bits of knowledge for future generations, and maybe you mentioned 100 years down the road, maybe is there any message you would have to say someone stumbles across these recordings now in 100 years or further down the line and locally in the area, and they're interested or they're living here? Is there anything you'd share with them, any message or any particular thing, if you could talk to someone in the future like that? Is there anything you would?
Well, what would I say to that now?
I know it's a tricky one.
I suppose what I would say is that Lough Gur is a very, very special place. I hope it's never overrun with tourists or anything like that. And I hope that in future generations to come, when I'm well dead and gone, that it will still be such a magical place, and to respect the ancient sites, and to respect the spirits that dwell there, and to live happy here in Lough Gur and enjoy enjoy what we have here, and hopefully it won't be ruined by overdevelopment and that. But yeah, I suppose if I could come back in 100 years, I might say something different, but I don't really know what to say to that. But yeah, I would hope that the magical feeling that's in Lough Gur, that I always find, and the spirits, I find them in the ancient places, and I'd hope the people that to come after us will find that solace as well.
And finally, a silly one, but would there be any message you give about the little patch of trees that you planted there? Any particular tips you'd give?
Well, I hope they live, and I hope that my descendants will sit under them, and that they're only, it's only a small little project comparison to the big world, but hopefully small little projects like that will help our biodiversity and bring nature along with it. And of course, I suppose for the farming community down through the years of late, I suppose they were all pushed to fertilizer and drain the land and do this and that. And now, of course, it's not their fault. Now, of course, we find that overdevelopment, overuse of fertilizer have poisoned a lot of our lakes and our rivers and the land itself. And hopefully little projects like I have up there might just tip the balance back a little bit towards nature. I would like to think it will.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's a lovely sentiment to send forward. Is there any final bits you'd like to add, John, or anything we should have mentioned we didn't mention, or have we covered it all?
I'd say we could be here forever talking if we want to go down the road of Lough Gur, but sure, 'tis just another, we're not right inside in the lake, but there's this lovely little world up here that there's no one really docks in, and we're here, we have it to ourselves this evening, and such a, it's a different to looking at the lake and the magic of the lake. But there's there's a peace here, there's a tranquility here, there's a spirituality here. And I always find it when I come up here, and I like to sit in the wall and the stones and just let my mind, as I said earlier, ramble back through the years and look forward as well. And I'm a person, I hope I'm a positive person, and I think that there's a great goodness in people, and I hope that comes out, and come to places like this, and to get that bit of peace for themselves in this world that's coming at it at such speed. And you can come up here and have your little bit of peace and your bit of time, and you can hear the wind blowing, you can hear the birds singing usually. I was up here early several mornings for the last few weeks, and you can hear the cuckoo calling, and I suppose when I was younger that never even crossed my mind, so busy doing this, that and the other thing, and now I've come to a time that I'm going to enjoy that, and I hope people can enjoy it in the centuries to come as well.
Lovely. Sure, we'll stop on it there. So
Have I rambled too much?
no, that's good. Yeah, we sure we can stop. And what we can do is, as we're walking